Hello and welcome back to day 3 of South by Southwest. I'm your host, Wajahat Ali, and this is the South by Southwest studio. We have an awesome, multi-talented lineup of guests who are going to be stopping by today and throughout the week, including actor Ben McKenzie, Congressman Adam Schiff, author Neil Stevenson, and many, many more. Before we begin, however, I wanted to point out that today I'm wearing this button that's part of the South by Southwest collaboration for a cause. The sunflower is a national flower of Ukraine, and they've done 2 pieces of merch to support relief efforts. Proceeds from the sale of this pin will go to global giving and the Kiv Independent. You can check out our daily schedule of interviews on our website at sxsw.com/studio, and you can watch all of our studio interviews on the South by Southwest TV app, available on Apple TV, Roku, Android TV, and Amazon Fire. These interviews will also be available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/sxsw. Our guest today is Olympic volleyball player, superstar, and New York Times bestselling author Gabby Reece. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning.
To the South by Southwest studio. We're live for the first time in 3 years. We're with people.
Yes,
there's a crew
I
here.
see your face, yeah.
There's excitement.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for getting up early for us. We appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and you made that look very easy. So
You're
ready. You're ready
this
for
is why
this
they pay me the big money.
You're ready.
And the big money today was a breakfast taco.
Oh, fantastic.
That I quickly ate. I told you I
Oof.
quickly ate it before you came because I'm like, I can't have Gabby seeing me eat this taco.
You can't be afraid. I don't live like that. That in itself is an imbalance. So you have to, everything
Everything
easy.
in balance?
Yeah.
Even,
nothing's ever in balance. That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like do the best that you can.
Do the best that you can, and even judge quietly in balance, in moderation.
No, I observe it. Be like, oh, I had that taco earlier. Maybe I'll do something a step up from there.
You are here today at South by Southwest. You have a panel you have a keynote actually at 10 o'clock at the Four Seasons, where you're talking about the big wave. And the big wave, I'm sitting there thinking, oh, the big wave. Okay, she's married to Laird Hamilton.
Sure.
And her and Laird are going to talk about something about sports and surfing.
Yeah.
And Laird was supposed to be here, but
yep, he had a few bones removed from his knee, and the way that they presented it would be very like, oh, you're weight bearing when you leave, which is true, but then it turns into something a little bit different after. And as we progressed closer to this event, it was not a good idea for Laird to be here.
How's he doing right now?
No, he's great. It's just, nature is nature, and when you cut bones out of tendons, it just takes a second to heal.
You said that so casually.
We've been here before.
You're like,
Laird
listen, what do you cut bones out of tendons?
You're like, we scheduled this. No, I mean, it's just part of the deal. The thing about athletics is, I have an artificial knee, is repetitive motion. It's like anything, what we eat all the time, what we're thinking all the time. These things create grooves and patterns or damage, and so you just he had a little maintenance.
You talked about maintenance, and you have a very busy life. You're a mama bear, which is already the most hard, amazing job. Yeah. You've been married for what, 20?
24 years
amazing.
Together. That's people. Okay, 26 years. No, I'm kidding. No,
you're not kidding. You're kind of kidding.
No, I'm not. Laird has been a gift. I mean, cohabitating in itself is a very unusual dynamic, especially if you take opposite genders and then throw them in a house together.
And 2 superstar athletes.
Yeah, well, we say leave your sword at the door. There's none of that going on. We're not, there's not about being competitive. We're here to try to help each other out.
But you guys help each other out also in your pursuits for entrepreneurship and philanthropy, in addition to being mama bear and also being married. And you also have a podcast. Oh yeah, and also you have a superfood, Laird Superfoods, that you run, and then you also have a perforance training.
Yeah, so we have XPT and Laird Superfood. A lot of this just comes out of the hustle. When you're in a lifestyle sport, and you're trying to do it your way that feels good to you. You actually, like Laird Superfood was created because we created the brand, so it was something that you could be like, oh, I believe in this, I use it. So, because there's very few brands out there that you can actually feel a lot of pride and comfortable saying to people, hey, I use this. And so it's just a natural progression of when you do this job.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about the superfoods.
Great.
Because I need to eat more superfoods. But when we're talking about the big wave,
yes,
specifically, there's a big wave clause,
yes,
right? And so when I was looking at the South by Southwest studio, I'm like, okay, again, I was like, oh, big wave, Laird and Gabby probably talk something about surfing. I have no idea. I've never surfed. If I did, I'd break my neck. But the big wave clause is actually this clause that you all have to maintain balance and moderation. Can you tell us about the big wave clause?
This was born out of, Laird's season was typically sort of like late October if you're lucky, really November, the meat of it is through February. So every time we book jobs for that, we'd say, okay, but there's a big wave clause. If it's 20 feet or larger in Hawaii, that would mean like a 40-foot wave. Because you have to remember, this is a precious commodity. Large waves don't come often.
I've seen Point Break. I've always remembered the scene.
Yeah, I mean, believe me, there's a lot of pacing and binoculars and weather reading. Okay, so we would really, because you want to be professional and respectful, people would go, but if the weather's showing up.
And this wave comes, which is rare.
Which is rare. And this is Laird's first sort of priority, obviously, besides his family. He won't be able to make it. And for example, they opened Riding Giants at Sundance. Robert Redford came, he was going to introduce the movie. I went with my then 3-month-old daughter, and Laird was nowhere to be found. He was on Maui. There was a large swell. He came like a day later.
And so the big wave for the rest of us is,
yes,
you need to have your passion. You need to chase that passion. And once that passion presents itself, or that moment presents itself, the moment of joy. Because it seems to me, from just the way you're describing, and we had Tony yesterday, Tony Hawk. I'm on a first name basis with him.
How's his leg?
I
know, I saw.
He came and with his crutches, and he was like, I was just doing a trick and I broke it. But there's a passion when it comes to skating for athletes, right? And I talked to Adam Rippon yesterday, skater. And, Laird, surfing, you with volleyball, but there's a joy there. There's a passion there that no money, like nothing competes with that joy.
Well, we all have it, right? It's representing our non-negotiables. And so what is that? It's our self-care, maybe it's our family. Oh, I have this quest I'm scheduled to do. It doesn't matter what comes down then the work pipeline. And I think it's a hard way to go. There's something sometimes like, well, I'm missing out, or that opportunity, or what have you. But I believe, and I know, and Laird is a very, very good example of this, is when you follow your line, the line that you're setting, the course you're setting, not what everyone is always telling you, because there's always so much input about what you're supposed to do, that you end up arriving. Doesn't mean the journey doesn't have its bangs like all journeys. You sort of arrive at this place that I think is a truer reflection of who you are. And when we talk about what is success, I think that definitely has to be part of the definition.
Before I talk about, how you can help people find their line, he has his wave, the
sure,
literal
it's very
wave.
obvious.
Yeah, but for you, what's your wave? Your big wave?
I'll be honest, I have a few. One is my self-care practice, and so it's almost like little waves every day. So people will understand this is more how most people live, which is, okay, I have scheduled this 30-minute window for myself. Is it my training or my self-care? Especially once you start having children, or everybody's working from home now, all the lines are blurred, it's a little bit.
It's still a pandemic.
It's chaotic, right? So it's carving that out, not being apologetic for that. You don't have to be mean about it, but it's very clear, like, this I need to do. So I think for me, it's more that I have these little waves kind of throughout my week that I don't negotiate. If I'm proposed with a job that I don't actually fully believe in, but let's say it's great money or something like that, it's staying in touch. That's actually something that it's just like you keep trusting that you're riding a wave that you're creating and building, and that you have to stay within those guardrails. And so I also use it as a North Star to stay on course, because there's times things are tempting. It's not like you never are tempted. And so it's like you go, oh no, wait, what's the big wave? What's the long plan?
You could say yes to everything. And then if you
could, you could, and then you'd be nowhere.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be following your line, you wouldn't be anchored, and then you'd probably be exhausted. There is something that I think can relate to so many people, because during the pandemic, which is still ongoing, a lot of people, it forced people to pause. And it forced people to say, I've been running, working 2 jobs to stay broke, doing this, doing that. But like, wait, I have a limited life, I have limited time. I need to follow something that gives me joy. I need to find these waves wherever I can find them in my life. I might not be a Gabby or a Laird, but I need these waves to fulfill myself, to have a second chance at life.
For sure.
And have you seen that the fact that in this pandemic, when you actually tell people, make a big wave clause in your life, people are responding. Finally, they're not like, oh, Gabby can find a big wave.
Yeah, it's easy for them.
Yeah, easy for them.
Yeah, I think it's just reminding people that time is very precious, and what is our purpose? What are we doing here? How do we want to express ourselves, and how do we want to spend this time? But also then trying to encourage people that you have to actually put a little strategy around it. Again, we're using Laird as an example, and the waves come and they're generated by nature. But ultimately, this is something that we sort of have to build in to our lives and have a real strategy. Because everything, they say, oh, knowledge is power, but it's really knowledge and practice.
Yeah.
And so even though we're talking about this big wave clause, like it's a moment, this is actually about sort of having a philosophy in which you're trying to approach your relationships with people, your work, your time, and sort of just really encourage them to go inside to figure that out, because it's not outside. And really, weirdly, I think it's about simplifying.
You know, it's about intention. You make the intention,
Yep.
but then the part of actually finding it, this is what's difficult for many people, because some people could say, take away the artifice of the success. Laird is so lucky he found his passion early. And there's an assumption, just knowing your amazing career. I followed your career when you were a volleyball star, still a volleyball star.
You were in diapers, yeah.
No, we're around the same age. And I was like, because you were, I think people need to know, Gabby Reece was dominant in the sport, like dominant, right? And we saw that, and I was like, did you just figure out, this is my passion?
Yeah, I was very late to that, though. Laird, you're right. This is a really important point, what you're saying, because a lot of people sit there going, well, I don't even know what I want to do.
I don't know.
Or young adults that have come out of college during the pandemic, how do you really figure that out? And I think it's really first starting with knowing who you are. And so I think I would encourage people to say, hey, when I see things or read things, what things excite me, what do I actually feel like I'm good at? Because there's also an element of marriage and reality, right? It's like having a dream and marrying it with a kind of, I didn't say like, hey, I want to be a gymnast or, a horse jockey. I'm 6'3". Like, I always tell my daughters, you can be anything. I'm not sure about a gymnast, right? So it's like, it's a level of reality, but it's also like when you think about certain things and adding an element of service. I think that this is important because this all comes together, I think, to lead us to a place that at least we can figure out, hey, what is my big wave? What is my non-negotiable? And it is hard. I don't want to just throw it out there like, oh, it's easy.
It's a lifelong quest for some people.
And it might be
yourself.
a few times. That's the thing is reminding people we can be a lot of different people in this life.
Yeah.
And so don't lock down into, well, this is what I've always done. And it is scary to make changes or to sort of change courses. But I think that that's what life is. It's about curiosity and expansion and not thinking, oh, I'm this age, so now I can't do that. And now I'm this age, or I'm too young, or I'm too old. But it's really about checking in with who you are and doing that all the time. Because if it's not like a thing, you wouldn't say to someone, hey, how you doing? And then see your kid in 6 months and be like, hey, how's it going? It's like we're moving and changing, and I think that's a really essential part of it. And Laird does that very well.
There's a great quote by Miles Davis. He goes, you have to play a long time to play like yourself. Yeah. And you mentioned something, with the trajectory of your career and your life, right? People knew Gabby as, they're like, all right, young star, college volleyball star. No, model. Oh no, she's back to volleyball. Oh no, now she's Nike's first spokeswoman for cross training. Oh, she has her own shoe. Oh, now she married Laird. Oh, now they have the foods, the superfoods. Oh, now they have the performance training. Oh, now she has a podcast. I want to take the trajectory. When did you first figure out your wave? When did you know, like, I'm not going to be a gymnast.
Yeah.
I'm athletic. I got the discipline. I can grind. Volleyball's my thing.
Honestly, I think my thing also, and I'll be totally forthcoming, Laird's is totally out of passion. Mine started out of fear and lack of options, right? 6'3", athletic, they go, hey, you can go to college for free on a scholarship. I really love sports, the family of sports, the discipline. And in a way, I discovered it as I followed the paths. And then it was sort of like, oh, this game is really fun. I have a knack for this game. I like the relationships with players and coaches. And so the other thing is sometimes if we go into pursuit, we also then will start to discover things that are our waves. And so mine was certainly different than Laird's. And again, I try to change my motivation from fear and I have to take care of myself to, hey, what's calling me and what can I work really hard at that I can believe in even when it's not going great.
It's also about accepting an opportunity, like stepping into something.
Saying
you're
yes.
like, I don't know where this is going, but I'm willing to take this educated risk, this, strategic educated risk. 6'3", I might do okay. Yeah. I might not. Let's try it out.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. That's that reality, right? But I think it is always about stepping into things that are hugely uncomfortable and scary. I don't know any person that goes, oh yeah, I had a plan and it went perfect and I stepped and there was no risk. It's all scary. It's all unknown. It's all learning, and just to be like, oh, okay, I'm in this part of the lesson, and it's ongoing.
And so when I was reading the bio, I'm like, okay, yeah, Superfoods, right? The performance training. Yeah, I know she's a mom, takes that seriously. Got the volleyball. I'm like, podcast.
Oh yeah.
This is new.
Yeah.
And was that when you were like, we're just sitting one day, just sitting casual, like, I'm gonna start a podcast and it's gonna rock? Or was that one of these things where you're like,
I never think that way.
I'm scared, but I want to do this.
Yeah, and I talk to people a lot smarter than me, and I'm trying to figure out how do I make it an everyman talk, but not lose the message and create value for the listener and do it my way. I listen to other people and I go, God, I wish I was more funny, or I had a better laugh, or I was better at this. But just also knowing who I am and what I can offer. But I used to interview a lot of people always on TV and athletes, and I've always really enjoyed talking to people because this is that learning part. And so I now have people coming to me and teaching me. So it's pretty incredible. I really, really enjoy it.
What's the name of the podcast?
It's very original. It's the Gabby Reece Show.
It's very subtle. It's very subtle. And who are you listening to where you're like, oh, that's a good podcast? Who's your influence?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. I'm not different than a lot of people. I really enjoy, of course, I enjoy Joe Rogan like everybody. I think the humor, the science, he has the ability to make it wide. I really like Andrew Huberman. He's a scientist. That's I kind of geek out on that stuff.
Oh, all right.
And so I really enjoy Andrew Huberman. I would encourage people. He calls it public education. He's from Stanford. He's a scientist, but he makes it really just completely relatable.
And so you want to mix, you want to mix the because you have you're very personal about your life, how you mix it. I remember, this is how old I am. I remember that you competed when you were 5 months pregnant, right? Was that it?
Yeah, with my youngest daughter, Brody, who's now 14.
And it was a part of me that was like, Gabby, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah,
and
I was
you were just
too.
crushing it.
Try the bikini. I was not crushing it. The vertical jump was definitely not happening down there.
It was an 5-month-old.
It was crushing the baby. I thought you meant crushing the ball. See how I think? I was like, oh, no.
I was talking about you were crushing it as an athlete.
Yeah. No, what happened is I had this opportunity. I really loved 4-on-4 volleyball, beach volleyball, and there's an opportunity to come back and try to support that because at that time, before beach volleyball was in college, it was a really great transitional tool for indoor college players because you could get your feet wet, then you could go to doubles. And so they said, hey, we're trying to get this back. Would you be willing to come? And I was like, oh, okay. Because I love volleyball. Volleyball brought me a lot. And I believe it should be something that's here and an opportunity for other athletes because it did so much for me. So that's why I played in a bikini at, 5 months.
But for many women watching that time, it was also taboo busting, right? They were like,
was it?
Yeah, of course. And they're like, she's playing in a bikini.
Yeah, let's talk about that. Forget volleyball, the bikini. Holy cow.
No, and she's still at the top of her game. And the double standards that are in place when it comes to women athletes and men athletes.
You mean non-pregnant athletes, males, and pregnant athletes, females?
No, but in general. But you came in there and you said like, no, I'm going to do this. Yeah. I'm going to do it in my terms, and I'm going to still succeed. And that was then. And now you have this amazing legacy where I'm sure you look at young athletes who say, I'm modeling myself after you. I want to be the next Gabby Reece. And at this position, at this stage in your life, I'm just assuming that just can be like overwhelming in such a humbling way.
I never think about it, quite frankly.
Never?
No, I've learned a couple things really quickly. One is, for example, if someone's a leader, let's say, like assigned leader, military, what have you, they just say I'm in charge of this space, a real leader. The only people that can call someone a leader or an inspiration are the people who are going to say that. It's not on the person. And I have a friend, her name's Byron Katie, and people really love her. She has a program called The Work. And I go, Katie, what do you do when people freak out and they just come up to you and goes, oh, sweetie, that has nothing to do with me. They're experiencing love and I get to watch it. And I think that's all. I'm a soldier. I'm a cog in the wheel. This has nothing to do with me. And so I'm grateful, and I mean, it feels good. I'm not going to lie, but I don't really think about it.
You don't. I mean, but when someone comes to you, like suppose there's a young girl that comes to you at South by and says, I just love your career. I love what you've done, and I want to model. I found my North Star through you. There's not a part of you that says, well, yeah, well, thank you. I'm glad. I feel like I did something in my career that
Maybe that's
you were a trailblazer in many. Like I said
no,
before.
good timing. Sometimes trailblazers are the people before that nobody ever knows. I stepped in really at the best time. And yes, I did it. Like I said the right things and did the right things and practiced and showed up and, but let's be clear, a lot of times the people that really cut it down are, like Laird, I think is a trailblazer, but he's been around long enough that he sort of gets both benefits. A lot of the people did it before me. I think it's this. Well, I think it's about, I just want to do something. And so when I hear something like that, maybe it's a confirmation of like, okay, at least there was some value in what you're doing.
You would make a great children of immigrant parents. It's because that's just, like, because my parents are like, the immigrant parents are like, yes, there was utility in that. You were
Do I need
useful.
to go to therapy? Is that what you're saying?
No, you're doing. I'm saying that like
No,
you're like there's utility in that.
There's more to do.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because Laird, there was like a Navy SEAL. They don't know who it is. He said, never let your memories be greater than your dreams. I have other things I would like to do, and also I think when we stay and we go, oh, that was amazing in volleyball, that's an identity that kicks your ass in so many ways.
That's right.
And so I'm actually just trying not to get my butt kicked too badly by, I was pretty good at something, whatever, my skin was really smooth in my 20s, whatever it is. I'm trying to create value and move forward and have new dreams. So actually, if people come up to me, my hope is that maybe that's the example.
No, and it is the example, because you're doing it, you're living it. You got the podcast, you got the superfoods, you got entrepreneurship, you got philanthropy. What is the next big wave that you want to catch in your life? The one that you're really looking forward to right now, saying, I would like to try that.
That's an interesting question. I think I'm so submerged in what I'm doing right now. Laird Superfood, for example, and XPT, but especially Laird Superfood takes quite a lot of energy. It's a publicly traded company. It's something it's a serious thing.
Yeah.
And so I'm really directing a lot of my energy to that, and to my podcast, and to communicating. So besides sort of trying to, I have, my youngest daughter is already 14, like making sure that they're all launched pad out as to the best of my ability of what I know now. I'll tell you all my regrets later. That's it for now, but keep, sort of grooving on those paths, because they will lead to where I will step off to next.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
Thank you.
You can catch your podcast, Gabby Reece Show, on wherever nice, fine podcasts are found.
That's right. We're all respectable podcasts.
Well, all respectable podcasts are found. Laird Superfoods, you got the XPT training.
Yep.
And today, at the Four Seasons at 10 a.m., you will be telling people about the big wave class.
Yes, with Laird. He'll just be
with Laird.
behind.
He'll be behind on the Zoom.
Right, that's right.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much all for watching. Don't forget, you can watch all of our studio interviews on the South by Southwest TV app, available on Apple TV, Roku, Android TV, and Amazon Fire. These interviews are also available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/SXSW. And for a complete list of our interview schedule, check out SXSW.com/studio. I'm Wajat Ali. Thank you for watching.